Hi guys, it's Jodie and welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that are on my September TBR, and I'm really excited because all of these books are definitely like spooky, autumnal, cozy kind of reads. So if you're looking for any recommendations for the upcoming fall/autumn season, then you should be able to find some in this video. I'm so excited for this time of year. Everything just feels more magical and I just love it. Like, this time of year just makes me feel so good. It makes me so happy and I just love everything about autumn. So I'm very excited for all of the books that I'm planning to read, and I do have a very ambitious TBR as always. I always put a ton of books on my TBR, so I have lots to choose from. And I also have a few books that I haven't put on this TBR that I will probably potentially pick up like as mood reads. So yeah, do bear in mind the fact that I'm a mood reader, but we're going to try and attempt this TBR. So if you would like to see all of the books that are on my TBR this month and get some good cozy autumnal book recommendations, then please keep watching this video. Now you can probably see behind me I have two very large stacks of books to get through, so you may want to grab yourself a nice hot drink and get cozy because this video is going to be long as is usual on my channel. So yes, I've opted for some coffee, so make sure you can grab a mug of something to keep you company while we go through all the books. So the first book on my TBR is Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It is also my Patreon buddy read pick for September. I will be filming an exclusive spoiler-filled reading vlog for this book over there. So if you do want to join me and join us for this month's buddy read, then you can head to my Patreon below. But I'm super excited for this because Rachel Griffin's, I think it was her debut novel, which was The Nature of Witches, was one of my favourite books that I read in 2021. I absolutely adored it. I did actually do it as a Patreon book club pick as well last year, so there is an entire reading vlog for that over on Patreon if you're interested in that also. But yeah, basically I love that book. I fell in love with her writing style and therefore I am super hyped for this one. So this again is another witchy book and I have this gorgeous edition here. So if you get the first print run, it has this beautiful design under the dust jacket. So if you're interested, go and grab it now because hopefully you can still grab this edition. But basically this is a fantasy, it is a romance, it is witchy, and it's set in the Pacific Northwest, which is just where I want to live. We're talking Twilight vibes, we're talking atmospheric, gloomy, autumnal kind of setting, which is just perfect. I think this book is also set during autumn or starts during autumn, I've heard, so another pro for this book. This also has the enemies to lovers trope, which is like my favourite trope, so yes. Basically in here we have Iris, who is a witch, and she was involved in an incident that she was proven to be innocent of, but ever since she has sworn off magic and she's going to hide her magic and the fact she's a witch. So she's currently residing in Washington, just getting on with her life and kind of letting go of this witchy part of herself. And she works in this wildlife refuge centre with her mother, and there's this guy called Pike who also works there. He's an ornithologist, which is someone who studies birds, and he doesn't like her, he hates witches, and she doesn't like him. And Iris has this habit of when she's angry, she gets her frustration out by writing curses she never intends to cast in like her diary. And I think one day Pike says something that really annoys her, and I think she writes a curse about him in her diary. So basically an owl swoops down and grabs this curse before she can like get rid of it, takes it off somewhere, and apparently in this world owls are powerful amplifiers of like magic and curses, but if the owl dies then the spell will unleash like a curse across everything basically. And as a result of this, Pike and Iris are forced to work together to try and retrieve this curse, because not only is his life on the line but everyone's is. So basically they have to go on this sort of quest to find this curse, and I guess along the way they begin to fall for each other. So yes, I'm very excited for a quest style story, adventure, fantasy, contemporary romance, enemies to lovers, an amazing setting. Like, this just sounds like a dream. So very excited for this, very high hopes, and so hoping this doesn't let me down. So next is a book that I think I've had on a couple of TBRs, but that is The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw, and I was originally going to read this in winter, and I still might because I don't know for sure if I'll get to it this month. But I read one of this author's books I think last year or the year before, which was Winterwood, and I absolutely adored it. The writing was beautiful, it was so immersive. So I've been meaning to get to this one for a while, and quite honestly I'm not too sure why I haven't picked it up sooner. And basically we have this small town where centuries prior 3 witches were sentenced to death, and I think like they were tied down with like stones and dumped in the lake, I think. And then every single summer the witches return and steal the bodies of like troubled girls, and they then like find a boy to like drown, I think, as a way of getting revenge on the town for murdering them years prior. And our main character's lived in this town her whole life. She's very aware of this, but this new guy arrives the night before this thing usually happens, and he's totally unaware and has no idea what is about to befall him. It says here, the townspeople will turn against one another. Penny and Babel suspect the other of hiding secrets, and death will come swiftly to those who cannot resist the call of the sisters. But only Penny sees what others cannot, and she will be forced to choose, save Beau or save herself. So I suspect this will have a bit of romancing. It has a witchy undertone to it, a kind of spooky urban legend, a small town with rainy vibes, and a curse. It just sounds so good. I'm so excited for this one. So again, I do also have very high expectations for this book just because of how much I love the author's other book. So very excited to get to this, hoping that I do. It sounds perfect for autumn, and I'm obsessed with this cover. It is so beautiful. Next we have a super gothic story, and I'm so excited for this one. I do hope that I get to it during this month. If not, I may put this on my October TBR, but that is Lakesedge by Lyndall Clipstone, and just look how gorgeous this cover is. This is available in paperback in the UK, but I did get this hardback copy either from Blackwell's or Book Depository, I can't remember. I think I bought this last year and I just didn't end up getting to it. And it has one of my favourite things, which is chapter headings with gorgeous illustrations above them. I just live for this. I love it. So at the top here it says, there are monsters in the world, there are monsters in the woods, there's a monster in the shadows, and now it knows my name. So this is a story of mystery and magic. It has a kind of dark fairy tale vibe to it. It has romance, and it is very gothic. So I feel like that is a really good way of describing this book. So I'll read the synopsis because this is quite like a long synopsis, so I feel like it's easier to read some of this to explain what this book's about rather than trying to do it myself. But basically it says, Violetta would do anything to protect her younger brother, who's plagued by nightmares because he possesses forbidden black magic that spills from his fingers as shadows. Then we have the notorious Rowan, and he's known as the monster of Lakesedge, and discovers her brother's magic. She then fears the worst, and she's shocked when Rowan instead presents a risky offer, refuge at his Lakesedge estate in exchange for her brother's powers. So her and her brother go and take up this offer. They go there, but then they discover they're not alone on this estate. It says that the estate is also visited by the Lord Under, a sinister deity who lurks in the ink black waters of the lake. Rowan is bound to the Lord Under and is desperate to break the curse that binds him to the lake, slowly corrupting him from the inside. As Letta and her brother work furiously to unravel the curse, Letta finds herself falling for the seductive and surprisingly tender Rowan, who proves to be more boy than monster, for now. Yet as Letta begins to push the limits of magic, she can't help but feel the alluring call of the lake. And it says here that this crafts a tale of curses and kisses that is at once cinematic and sensual, capturing the full intensity of first love, where even a single touch can be intoxicating, like falling under a spell. So this sounds so good. I am so excited for this book. I think it's going to be so amazing and a really good book to be reading during autumn. It just has those spooky vibes, and I love the setting of this kind of gothic eerie estate. We have monsters and magic and romance. It just sounds so good. I'm so excited. Then another witchy book is this one, which again I'm so excited about. I've been waiting for this release all year, and one of my friends recently read this. They read it in like 2 days. They said it was one of the best books they've read all year. Super cozy witchy vibes, so I'm so excited for it. And that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, and this cover just, it is cozy. Like, it's giving cozy, it's giving cute. I'm really excited. And also I love the back of this because it has like these little books above the barcode, which I just thought was really cute. So in this we follow Mika Moon, who is a witch. She's one of very few witches that exist in Britain, and she, I think, was adopted, and she's kept the fact that she's a witch a secret. Like, she makes sure not to get found out as a witch, not to use magic hardly or anything like that, and she does everything she can to stay away from other witches. But it says here, an unexpected message arrives begging her to travel to the remote and mysterious Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches, and Mika jumps at the chance for a different life. Nowhere House is nothing like she expects, and she's quickly tangled up in the lives and secrets of its quirky, caring inhabitants. And with Jamie, the handsome, prickly librarian who would do anything to protect his charges, and who sees Mika's arrival as a threat, an irritatingly appealing threat. As Mika finds her feet, the thought of belonging somewhere starts to feel like a real possibility. But magic isn't the only danger in the world, and soon Mika will need to decide whether to risk everything to protect the found family she didn't know she was looking for. Sounds so good. Found family trope. We obviously have kind of, not necessarily enemies to lovers, but I would say like 2 people who don't particularly like each other at first and then potentially become lovers. And the fact this dude's a librarian and his name's Jamie, come on, like, this book is just gonna be so good. So yeah, I love the sound of this. It just sounds like a really cozy story. Like, it's gonna be quite heartwarming. I have like perfect autumnal vibes, and I'm looking forward to the romance as well. So yes, I cannot wait for this one. Then next we have this book, which is absolutely stunning, and that is Anatomy of a Love Story, and this is by Sana Schwartz, I think is how you pronounce her name. And just look how beautiful this cover is. Like, I fell in love with it. On the back it says, a gothic tale full of mystery and romance, set in Edinburgh in 1817. Yes, that has me sold immediately. So I don't actually know a lot about this. Literally all I ever heard about it was this part. I saw this online and I was like, say no more, say no more. So yeah, the fact it's set in Edinburgh, major bonus points for that, because anything set in Edinburgh just automatically has a gothic, spooky, kind of eerie autumnal vibe to it. I don't know what it is about Edinburgh, but I feel like if you've been there or you live there, you will get what I'm saying. But it's one of those places that is like an embodiment of kind of dark academia and like fall vibes and that sort of thing. So if anything's set there, instantly yes, like just an instant yes from me. So yeah, we have a romance, and basically we have Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Then we have Jack, who is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. Then they end up entangled with one another somehow, and they need to work together to uncover the secrets buried not just in unmarked graves but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. So it reminds me a little bit of Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell, and I'm here for that. Like, I love those characters, and if this is giving what that goes, then I think I will love this. So very excited for this. I don't really want to read the full synopsis, which is why I've given you guys a very brief kind of summary of this book, because I do want to go into this being very surprised by the mystery element. And I don't know, I just think it's going to be fun not knowing too much about this. I feel like I know all I need to know just by the back of the book. So I'm very excited about this one. Have seen a lot of positive things about this online as well, which has made me more excited to pick up. Oh, and we also have a quote from Neil Gaiman on the front, and I love Neil Gaiman, so yeah. Okay, so this next one, I'll be honest, is not autumnal, it's not spooky or anything, but I recently bought this and I just really want to read it. I don't even know if I will this month, but I'm putting it on my TBR anyway. And yeah, maybe I'll just read this like as like a really fast read or as a readathon, I don't know, but I do want to read it. And that is The Bodyguard, and this is by Catherine Center. And yeah, very excited for this one. I pre-ordered it. It just sounds really good. It's actually quite short. I think it's under 300 pages, which is good for a romance if you want a quick one. Yeah, it's 302 pages long, so I feel like this is like one that I could read pretty quickly. It's a romantic, laugh out loud, funny and perfect summer read, so probably not the best book to be reading in autumn, but yeah, whatever. I don't want to reread the synopsis because I still want to go into this one being surprised a little bit, but from what I remember, I think we have this guy and he's kind of famous, I think, and she's like his bodyguard, and she ends up staying with him on some kind of, I don't know if it was like a farm or a ranch or something, is it? Let's see. So it's a Texas ranch he's moved in, and he's like famous, and then a tragedy happened and he just kind of disappeared, and then I think this girl's like his bodyguard or something. I don't know if someone's trying to kill him, I can't remember. But that's basically the kind of premise of this. It's a romance. It just sounds really, really fun, and I just want to put it on my TBR because I am excited for it. So next we have the Manningtree Witches, and this is by A.K. Blakemore, and I'm so excited to read this one. This has been on my radar for a while, so I think I'm going to audiobook this one because I've heard the audiobook is really good. And this is inspired by the Witchfinder General, who was a prolific figure in the witch hunts in Britain, particularly I think in England and Scotland. And yeah, this story is inspired by that part of history, a very dark and brutal and misogynistic part of history. And I really, really like reading these witchy books that are inspired by real historical events. I think they hit a lot harder, and yeah, I just seem to really, really enjoy those. So this is set in England, and it's set in the 1600s. I'll read this bit here because I feel like this gives the historical like context for the story. So it says, England 1643, Parliament is battling the king, the war between the Roundheads and the Cavaliers rages, and it says the hot terror of damnation burns black in every shadow, and basically kind of the witch craze is kind of starting. So yeah, that's kind of like the historical context. This is kind of the like essence of society. They're very kind of paranoid, they suspect each other of being witches. This is the kind of historical context for the story. So there's going to be a lot of themes in here of feminism, I think, as well, because basically this takes place in Manningtree, and Manningtree is a place that's depleted of a lot of men. It's mostly just women there because most of the men have gone off to war. And it says here, at the margins of this diminished community are those who are barely tolerated by the affluent villagers, the old, the poor, the unmarried, the sharp-tongued. So then we have Rebecca West, daughter of the formidable Belden West, fatherless and husbandless, chafes against the drudgery of her days, livened only by her infatuation with the clerk John. Then we have a newcomer called Matthew Hopkins, who takes over Thorn Inn and begins to ask questions about the women of the margins. When a child falls ill with a fever and starts to rave about covens and packs, the questions take on a bladed edge. The Manningtree Witches plunges its readers into the fever and menace of the English witch trials, where suspicion, mistrust and betrayal ran amok as the power of men went unchecked and the integrity of women went undefended. It is a visceral, thrilling book that announces a bold new talent. So yes, I'm very, very excited to read this one. I feel like I am going to learn a lot about the kind of witch trials and some English history. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Then next we have House of Hollow, and this is by Crystal Sutherland. So I'm not going to go too much into this one because I think it was on my TBR last month. So basically in this book we have these three sisters who randomly vanished, and then I think 3 months later they reappeared and couldn't remember what happened to them, and then years later the oldest sister of the three goes missing and the younger two decide to go on this search for her. I think something else is also like looking for them or doesn't want them to find her or something, so it's kind of like a paranormal story in like a creepy woods, I think. Very, very excited for this one. I've heard good things and I've been meaning to read this for the best part of a year now, so let's hope that September's the month. If not, it's going to be October, but I'm hoping it will be September. Next I have 3 arcs here that I would like to finally get to, and the first one is She and Her Cat, and this is a translation from Japanese to English, and I cannot wait to read this because I've read the manga for this and I enjoyed the manga, so I'm excited to see what the novelization is like. I don't know if it originally started as a manga or as a novel, or if the manga was just inspired by the novel. I honestly don't know, but I do know that the manga is linked to this story. And basically it just says here on the back that it's a tender and mesmerizing story about kindness, community and the wonder of life. And yeah, I just want to read this because it is similar to the manga and I liked it. So this comes out in October, so I would like to read it before it comes out, and it's quite short, and I do try to read at least one translated fiction book per month, so this will be my monthly read, and yeah, I'm excited for this one. Then next we have The Poison Season by Mara Rutherford, and I was very kindly sent this by Hopper360. This comes out on December 6th of this year. And basically the reason that I wanted this was because it's been compared to Margaret Rogerson, who wrote Sorcery of Thorns and Enchantment of Ravens, which I have read both of, but quite some years ago when each of them first came out, so I would love to reread them. I was actually debating adding an Enchantment of Ravens to this TBR because I do feel like it's a good one to read this time of year. so I may reread that. But yeah, just because I saw that, I was like, yes, I really want to read this. And it just sounds really, really good. As on the back, it has imaginative world building, engaging writing, and a forbidden romance. This story is primed to draw in readers from the first page to the heart-stopping climax. So basically we have this kind of weird forest and a lake as well, and we have this very small town and they do not let outsiders in. And we have Lilo, and she has spent her entire life in this place, and she's been coexisting with this bloodthirsty forest that is kind of surrounding, I think, like where they live. And then it also says that there is a poisonous lake that protects her island from outsiders who seek to destroy it. But then she sees this young man on the verge of drowning and she decides to save him. And I think they begin to fall in love, and obviously as a result of this, I think her village begins to turn on her, and she kind of is questioning a lot of things and the very nature of society itself and her people. So yeah, it just sounds really, really good. Very, very excited to read this one. Hopefully I can get to it this month. I feel like it will be a really, really fun read. I love forbidden romance as well. I like the sound of a bloodthirsty forest and a poisonous lake. Like, hello, yes please. So yes, very, very excited about this one. Then we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. So I did start this when I was sent the ARC originally, but this is such a big book and it's very dense and it deals with a lot of dark themes, and I feel like it's something you really need to digest properly when you're reading, which is why I just haven't had the brain capacity to read this book for a while. So I am hoping to read some of it this month. I'm not planning to finish this book. I know this is going to be a book that I'm going to have to read very slowly and in small bursts, but I feel like I will really love it. It's a dark academia fantasy set in Oxford. It has themes of colonialism and translation and identity and lots of other themes. So I'm very, very excited to read this, especially after going to the R.F. Kuang event the other week. It really did make me even more excited. So yes, the lovely Rebecca did sign this for me as well, which is amazing. So very, very excited to hopefully read a good chunk of this month. And next we have Mina and the Slayers by Amy McCourt. So this is the sequel to Mina and the Undead, which is a vampire book that I just honestly adored. I think I read it last year, I think it was. And yeah, this is a series that's perfect for any fans of Stranger Things, Buffy, The Lost Boys. If you're looking for those kind of retro nostalgic vibes and like spooky, eerie vampire vibes, then this is definitely a series for you. Basically in the first book we follow Mina, who goes to New Orleans to visit her sister, and there is murders happening, a suspected vampire, and it was just so good. Honestly, it had murder mystery, it had romance, I loved it. So this is the sequel. In this one we follow Mina in New Orleans again, and this is in 1995. It says here, Mina is on work experience with Detective Cafferty while the police are investigating a savage mass killer and a rise in suspicious animal attacks. During her own investigations, Mina discovers a mysterious group of slayers who are battling to control the rogue of vampires. The threats circle closer as Mina spends her days with the police and nights with the slayers. Will she and her friends survive Halloween without being staked, stabbed or bitten? So yes, very, very excited to read this because I just can't wait to carry on with Mina's story. I like the fact that we have vampire slayers in here and another murder mystery. Also, how freaking cool is this cover? So excited about this. And also just want to show that I'm listed in the acknowledgements in this book, which is just insane. So I have mentioned it in a vlog, but thank you so much, Amy. I still can't get over that. So yes, very, very excited for this. I've been saving this to read closer to spooky season, which it pretty much is. So very, very excited to dive into this one. Then next I have Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. So don't hold me to this one. I do not get on with Lee Bardugo's writing. I just do not like it. I do not like Shadow and Bone. Could not get through Six of Crows. Please don't come for me. I just don't know what it is, but we just don't get on. But Ninth House I would like to try again. So I started this book last year and I got 73 pages in before I was like, I need to pick this up another time. I wasn't hating it. I was finding it okay, but at the same time it wasn't like sucking me in. It was quite kind of like slow, so I did have to force myself to read it. But I do really want to read it because a lot of people have told me that I will love this when I get into it. It just has a really slow start, and I did kind of enjoy it. I was enjoying the dark academia vibes. I like the kind of secret society vibe that this has, and the sequel comes out soon, so I'm hoping to pick this back up again. And I feel like there's no better time than the autumn to read a book that has those dark academia themes in it. So let's hope I can try and get back to this book again. So next I have 3 classics that I want to try and attempt. So if you've been here for a while, you know I'm not a classics girly, but I would like to be. I would like to try and read some classics, and I feel like these are a good introduction to classics and also fit the kind of seasonal vibe that I want to be reading, if that makes sense. So the first one I have is a Penguin Clothbound Classics like mini edition that I recently got gifted by them, and this one is an Edgar Allan Poe story. I've never actually read anything by Edgar Allan Poe before, so I would like to change that, and I figured this kind of short story would be a good way to go. So this is the Masque of the Red Death. I know absolutely nothing about what this is about, but I feel like I'm going to keep it that way and just go into it not knowing much. Because it's short, I thought it would be like quite a good one to read as an introduction. It's just over 100 pages, so I figured this will be a good one to start with, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Maybe I will become a stan of Edgar Allan Poe. I can't believe I just said that. But yes, I do want to give it a go, so I thought this would be a good one to add on as well. It's quite short, so hopefully I can get to it. Then next we have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and I recently picked this copy up from a charity shop. I know bits and bobs about this, but not a lot, to be honest, and again I'm going to keep it that way. Let's go into this just not knowing much, be surprised and just go with it. I'm hoping I can read this because I have been told by many people that this is one of the best books to read if you are new to classics as an introduction. It's not as dense, it's a lot shorter than a lot of classics, and apparently it's just a good kind of starter point. So I'm gonna try my best to read this, and I don't know why, but I just feel like autumn is the best time to read it. So we're gonna stick this on my TBR, we're gonna see how things go. And then the only other classic I have on here is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have read bits of this throughout school, but never actually read the full book before, and I've been meaning to do it for so long because I love anything with Frankenstein in. I will watch it, honestly, like I just love it so much. I love the story of Frankenstein, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love the book. And Mary Shelley was kind of one of the writers who gave birth to the kind of horror fantasy genre, and I feel like she doesn't really get the credit she deserves, so I feel like I need to do her a service by reading her book, if that makes any sense. But yes, I really want to read this. I just think Mary Shelley herself is an incredible woman, and it's a shame that I've not read Frankenstein, so I really want to rectify that and read it this month or in October. The reason I want to read it in September rather than October is because I want to read Dracula in October, and I just feel like Dracula is going to take me quite some time to get through because it's very dense. I've tried to read it a few times, so I feel like reading Frankenstein this month is definitely a better idea. I don't think I need to go into what Frankenstein's about. Very, very excited to read this. If anyone has any links to videos or like maybe like an essay or something that kind of breaks down Frankenstein and kind of picks it apart, and what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think what the word is, but you know when it's like kind of explaining and annotating like what the book is trying to say and the underlying themes. Can't think what the word is, but like I would really like to read or watch something like that because I feel like it will help me to better understand the points Mary Shelley is making in this book. So if you do have anything like that, please do link it down below. I would be really grateful if you could, because I just feel like it will help me with the language in here, because obviously classics are written in a way that sometimes can be confusing for me. So yes, if you do happen to know of anything like that, let me know. But I can't wait to read this edition because it has these illustrations in. I think this is the edition I'm going to read. I own quite a few copies of Frankenstein, which I know is bad when I haven't read it, but I can't decide which copy to annotate, so I think I'm going to go for this one, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm planning to read this anyway during September. So next we have the only kind of middle grade on here, which is a collection of short stories which are all very creepy by Neil Gaiman. I love Neil Gaiman's kind of middle grade stories and younger stories, like Coraline and the Graveyard Boy, I think it's called, or is it the Graveyard Book? I can never remember which of the two it is, but I love those when I read them. But I want to read this one, which is M is for Magic. So this is a collection of different stories. So it says here there's 11 stories which range from the scary to the whimsical, the fantastical to the humorous. each a different journey in which the reader encounters the rich and wonderful imagination of a writer who knows how to thrill and satisfy his audience. A sinister jack-in-the-box haunts the lives of children who owned it, a stray cat does nightly battle to protect his adopted family, and a boy raised in a graveyard confronts the much more troubled world of the living in this wonderful book of short stories by master storyteller Neil Gaiman. So this sounds incredible, and also I love this cover. It reminds me of Frankie. I'm saying this is my Frankie. It's Frankie. So yeah, very, very excited about this one. I cannot wait to dive into this book and just read some of these short stories. I just think it's going to be so much fun, and I'm very, very excited. Oh my god, the rain outside right now is insane. Wow, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but oh my goodness. Okay, so next we have two poetry books which are very on brand, very autumnal. So the first one we have is Poems Bewitched and Haunted, and this is the, where does it say? I think it's the Pocket Library or something. So this is by a publisher called, I think it's like the Everyman Library, and these are like the pocket editions they do. I bought this last October and didn't get around to reading any of the poems from here, but it literally is what it says on the front. It's a collection of kind of gothic poetry. And then I also have a poem for every autumn day, which is this one here. So I'm planning to try and read like a poem from each of these, maybe every day or just whenever I remember to. So I'm going to be doing this across September and October, so I thought I'd put them on my TBR. I haven't started yet. And it's currently the 6th of September, so I need to read 6 poems from each of these today to kind of be up to date. So yeah, I do want to read both of these though. And then lastly, we are down to manga and a graphic novel, so I'll go through these super quick. So I want to read these two, which is Love and Heart, volume 1 and 2. I have these on my shelf. I can't remember what they're about, if I'm being honest, but I just wanted to read some more of the manga off my shelf, and these looked kind of gothic and spooky. I vaguely think I know what these are about, but I'm not going to bother reading the backs. I'm just going to go into them and have fun. We'll see what happens. I think this is kind of like a dark romance kind of vibe to it. I don't know, but I'm very excited. The covers are beautiful and I just want to read them and get them read. So yeah, I'm putting these on my TBR. Then we have Gaio, I think is how you pronounce it, by Junji Ito, and this one is one of their most famous works and I really do need to read it. I've been putting it on my TBR for the past few months and still haven't started it, so yeah, I'm gonna get on that. Also, this was very kindly gifted to me by Hira, who's also one of my patrons, so thank you so much. By the way, I still have the note in here. A strange legged fish appears on the scene. Here is the creepiest masterpiece of horror manga ever. So yeah, this just sounds really weird, really creepy. I love Junji Ito's work, and I try to read one Junji Ito a month, which I definitely have not been doing recently, so I need to rectify that immediately. So I definitely do need to get to it this month, and I'm excited to read this one just because of how popular it is. Everyone loves this one, so yeah, hopefully we do get to it. This is horror manga, so if you don't like horror, do not read anything by this author. Okay, and lastly we have Moonstruck, and this is by, who is this by? Grace Ellis and Shane Beagle. This has been on my TBR so many times now, so I feel like I'm not even going to bother talking about this. And this is basically a cute queer romance, I think, with like supernatural creatures in. It just looks really, really cute. So yeah, I'm putting on my TBR because I've been trying to read this for so long. And I feel like supernatural creatures, like paranormal vibes, autumn, it just goes hand in hand. So yes, that is everything that is on this month's TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some kind of spooky autumnal recommendations mixed in here. Let me know if you did in the comments. Let me know which of these books you're most excited to read. If you haven't read any, which you're going to add to your own TBR, or if you've already read any of these, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And also let me know what you're planning to read in autumn. Which books are you going to be reading this month? And if you made it to this point in the video, leave an autumnal or spooky emoji in the comments, and don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I will have all of these books listed in the description box so you can find out more about them and check them out there. I will also have my social medias listed down below, which includes my Bookstagram account, which is starting to get autumnal and spooky, which is exciting. I will also link like my TikTok, because I've tried to upload more on TikTok as well, which has been quite fun. And just everything else will be linked down there, as well as the link to my Patreon, and that's where you'll find the Rachel Griffin vlogs, and you'll find lots of other reading vlogs I've done. There is also an autumn decor haul on there, and there will be an autumn clothing haul on there soon, along with lots of other autumnal things. I also do a monthly buddy read with my patrons every month. We do a monthly readathon. We have a Discord where we chat. I do live shows there and upload exclusive videos. So if you are interested in any of that, you can head to the link in the description box and join there. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you're safe and well. I hope you're reading lots of good spooky books, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.